Good people, what's going on? Look, happy Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? We are 2 weeks away from Light Years, Nas and Primo's album. We've been talking about this since the Scratch magazine cover, 20 years ago? And even before that, I think when people heard Illmatic and they heard New York State of Mind and they heard Represent and they heard Memory Lane, you know, some people saw that chemistry right then and said, man, I love to hear a Nas and Primo album. This goes back to 1994. But again, now during that era with the super producers all on Illmatic and stuff like that, I'm sure people were saying, I love to hear a Nas and Pete Rock album. I love to hear a Nas and Q-Tip album. I love to hear a Nas and Large Professor album. Even I love to hear Nas and LAS album. I'm sure that was kind of discussions with a lot of fans back there who just really enjoyed Illmatic. That's why when It Was Written came, some people felt the way they felt because they really wanted all of the Illmatic producers to produce on It Was Written, which funny enough, DJ Premier was on It Was Written. LES was on It Was Written. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you did have some, a few people on there from Illmatic and saying what I am. Primo was on I am. You know what I'm saying? So LES and Primo were both on like Nostradamus and so forth and so on. I mean, these end up working with all the Illmatic guys in some capacity, all the way up to like Lost Tapes too. You know what I'm saying? So and then what Wave Gods, Primo was scratching on that. You know what I'm saying? And we know Primo and Lost Professor was on Stillmatic. We know Q-Tip was on Streets Disciple. So nevertheless, Pete Rock was on Lost Tapes too, stuff. So he's always done that. But now, the hip hop community really started getting into the Nas and DJ Premier, with that scratch. And like I said, even before that song, but that was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Needed to have that conversation. You got both these guys on the album cover, you know what I'm saying, way back then. So, and the conversation happened. But in each Nas release, certain people, a certain sector of his fan base will say, yeah, that's a good album, but it's not the Primo album. Or, man, I really wish that Stillmatic would have been done by DJ Premier, or Hip Hop is Dead, or Untitled, and all these other albums that Nas did. People love some of them, people didn't like some of them. You know what I'm saying? I thought Life is Good was flawless, but I don't think any of the Illmatic guys was on Life is Good. You know what I'm saying? So, but nevertheless, Hit Boy situation happened. We've talked about that before, how great that run was, how great Magic was, how great KD3 was. Some people love KD2 a whole lot. Some people love Magic 3 a lot. So, I mean, never, you got a grammar for Magic, for KD1. So, a lot of work, huge discography, but now we at this situation where this is the highest expectation Nas has had probably since Stillmatic. I honestly believe that this new Primo album, Light Years with Nas, is the most highly anticipated album since Nas Stillmatic, since the Jay-Z battle, since the Takeover drop, since all those freestyles and diss records leading up to Takeover and leading up to the Blueprint, leading up to Stillmatic. This is the biggest for Nas' career to me. I know it was a lot of spark when Hip Hop is Dead was coming out, a lot of spark with Untitled, the nigga album, a lot of expectations and stuff like that with some of those albums. We heard about Nas going to do a double CD with Street Disciple. There was some Bridging the Gap and all that. There was some excitement there. The hit boys kind of fell under the radar. It was a surprise how great they were. There was a lot of hype with this Nasir album with Kanye. I retweeted today my thoughts on saying, you know what, with Nas being one of the greatest, Kanye being one of the greatest, the fact that wasn't a classic album is one of the biggest, to me, letdowns in hip-hop history. You know what I'm saying? When you think about We Major on Late Registration with Nas and Kanye, we think about Still Dreaming on Hip Hop is Dead. Amazing chemistry with Nas and Kanye. So for that ball to be dropped was just unacceptable, especially with the fact that what Kanye did for Pusha T with Daytona, what Kanye did for Common on Final Forever, and especially on B, which is an amazing album. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you got a lot of instances where a dope MC and a dope producer did these albums. You know, you got all the stuff with Freddie Gibbs doing his joints, and just a lot of MCs doing albums with one producer. You know, Alchemist got hot with all that stuff. Primo, of course, with the Prime albums. You know, the joint he just did with Ransom, and you know, and Ransom got a joint with Conduct. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. So this is nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Having the one MC, one producer, but nobody's Premier, nobody's Nas. So, like I said, this is going to be the anticipation is unreal, unbelievable, because you're going to have some 90s enthusiasts who are going to hope and wish the song's going to sound like 90s Gangstar, or you know what I mean, or 90s Group Home, 90s Jerry the Damager beats. Can Primo revisit that type of magic? No pun intended. Well, when I listened to that Ransom album, the song Cut Above, I believe, and I tweeted this, I felt like that track of Cut Above Primo did for Ransom, it made me feel like the hard to earn Gangstar beats that Primo was doing. So he still has it in him, and I just saw recently an interview with him. He's talking about he understands the anticipation. He said he saw the social media. Primo said he saw the tweets, and it's been coming from all over the hip hop community when it came to the pressure's on Primo. I've done videos saying that I felt like, you know, soon as the album come out, you're gonna immediately compare it to all of the Magic albums and all of the KD3 albums from Kid Boy. It's gonna happen. It'll be compared to the Nasir album. It'll be compared to early Nas albums. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get critiqued more than any Nas album probably since Stillmatic, to be honest with you. That's why I said that if they can pull off an album that sounds as good as Magic 1 or KD3, I'm personally totally satisfied. Me personally. You know what I'm saying? So excuse me 1 minute. Cheers. But it's never going to be enough, right? And so the funny thing was I was on several podcasts over the last year when this conversation started happening about this Primo album. And I said that as soon as it drops, it's going to be compared to that. It's going to be compared to Common and Pete Rock's Auditorium. And it'll be compared to so many different albums. And of course, they're going to compare to every great album that came out this year. We know the Clips album, the Mobb Deep album, the De La Soul album, and several albums from a lot of other MCs and groups that was very dope. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to immediately get compared, obviously, and it's coming in the fourth quarter, which makes sense. But again, success doesn't have to be having tracks on there that's going to remind you of New York State of My Mind 1 and 2. I Gave You Power, Second Childhood, Come Get Me, Memory Lane, New York State, you know, all this stuff. It doesn't have to be that. You know what I'm saying? To me, it just needs to be dope. You know what I'm saying? I predict, since this is a prediction video, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure people will definitely come back to me when it comes to ranking the album and say, well, this is what you said, T. Well, this is what I think. I think that if it's 5 stars, I'm predicting 4.5 stars out of 5. That's huge, right? That's 4.5 mics in the old source realm of ranking albums. That's big. I'm just saying I feel like they're going to surprise people, okay? I feel like it's going to be a great album. 15 tracks. The way Nas been rapping over these last 5 years has been remarkable and stellar on his own albums and on this feature run he's doing with Mass Appeal. He hasn't missed a step lyrically. He sounds great. I think that Primo understands the assignment. I think Primo knows exactly what people are saying. He said it, like I just said a few minutes ago. He's been reading social media. You know what I'm saying? I think that his plan is to go back in the vaults as best he could. I said a few months ago that I felt like half of the beats was going to be new Primo beats. And I still feel like Primo and Nas went into the vaults of Primo old beats from the 90s and early 2000s. I really believe this. And I really believe it's going to probably be 5 or 6 songs on this album that's going to be 90s Primo beats that never made the Gangsta albums, never made Jay with the Damager album, never made Group Home albums, you know, never made MOP albums. I really think he's going to pull some of those out the cut. I think he's been digging and probably playing some for Nas. I really believe that. Do I think he made a few more new ones? I do feel like he made some new ones. I feel like it's going to be a combination of old Primo beats and new Primo beats. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6 and 8 or whatever, 6 and 9 out of the 15 tracks. You know what I'm saying? I would not be surprised. You know what I'm saying? But where do we think this album's going to rank? We haven't heard it yet. If it's dope, some people go out immediately put it in Nas top 10 greatest albums immediately. Even if it's dope, but not a top 10, it's gonna be thrown in the top 10. If it's very, very dope or great, it's gonna end up in his top 5 for a lot of Nas enthusiasts. If it's just a good album, some fans gonna say it's whack. Some fans gonna say Primo Watts. Some fans gonna say whatever they're gonna say. But there are gonna be some fans gonna say it's better than every Hit Boy album, even if it's not. That's gonna happen. Even if it's not better than like KD3 or KD2 or Magic 1 or whatever, some fans gonna say it is because they want it to be better than Hit Boy. And that is a big thing. There are some people who are gonna want the album to be better than Hit Boy's albums with Nas. Even if it's not, they're gonna say it is anyway. Some people are not gonna be intellectually honest. They're gonna be intellectually dishonest. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna do that. Because these are hard feats. People act like, oh man, I ain't like Nas album since Life is Good. Really? That's why I did the video about these fake Nas, so-called Nas fans are hilarious. You are a huge Nas fan, but you didn't like Speechless, Done, Based on True Events, Composure, Nobody, The Cure, Definition, Bible, Nas is Good. What? Do I need to keep going? Serious Interlude? You ain't like these joints, Japanese so far? You ain't like these joints? These great songs Nas did, this great rapping he was doing on Magic, The Truth on Magic, Dedication on Magic, 4016. You didn't like these songs, but you're a real Nas fan. That's why I said it's important for context, but that's the bar for Primo. To me, the bar is Magic 1 and KD3. That's what I'm comparing Primo against. I'm not comparing the Nas and Primo album to Illmatic, to It Was Written. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to wait, of course. We got 2 more weeks. I'm going to stick to the second half of Nas. This run Nas on is incredible. So I'm going to stick to the second half of Nas' career. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'll be, you know what I'm saying, matching the new Nas and Primo album up at, man. It'll be matched up against that, man. But what do you guys think? Features, man. I'm predicting AZ on the album. Man, I'm predicting the Kendrick Lamar verse. For some reason, I've been thinking Kool G Rap might make an appearance, man, but I don't know. But and I said Lauryn Hill maybe again. But an AZ verse and a Kendrick verse would be my thoughts. I wouldn't be surprised if Ray and Ghost don't make a appearance. Now, I think there's been rumors about a certain track list or certain features already, and I think they're saying something about Pops from De La Soul and a few other people. I can't remember the names right now. That could be true. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I could imagine maybe Ray and Ghost on one song. Maybe Pops on a song from De La Soul. Maybe Slick Rick on there. And maybe Mobb Deep. You know, it might be where there's a few songs where the people in the Mass Appeal rollout might be a part of it because they all be obviously communicate with each other and stuff like that, recording music. So you might get a situation where Slick Rick might do a hook or give a verse to Nas. Ray and Ghost might be on the song. You know what I'm saying? Mobb Deep might be on the song. And Pops from De La Soul might be on the song. I could see that. I could see the Mass Appeal people on the big album of the year from Mass Appeal. You know what I'm saying? So I like to say that maybe that might happen, but I'm going to give my prediction is going to be 4.5 out of 5. We'll revisit this. Obviously, I could be totally wrong because I haven't heard any of the album. I don't have any inside leaks. I don't know anything no more than nobody else. This is just me thinking what I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? But we're happy about it. We waited a long time for it, man. Hip hop should be excited. Hip hop should be happy. You know what I'm saying? We're getting a gentleman and is 52 years old who started writing his rhymes as a kid. And I did say that I thought the album should be called The Golden Child. And someone was like, man, he grown. Why would you call it Golden Child? Well, he called himself the Golden Child, on several songs throughout his career. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going by that. He's the Golden Child. Ghostface Killer still call him the Golden Child. So why not call it that, man? But nevertheless, maybe he'll do an album at some point. Maybe the next album be called The Golden Child. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, be safe this weekend, man. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. It's been a great year, 2025 for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? We've been spoiled this year to me. Anyone saying hip hop is dead or dying, delete them, block them, unfollow them, because that's rhetoric that us real hip hop fans not trying to hear. You know, so it's been an absolutely fabulous year for hip hop, man. Thanks for supporting the Dome, man. One love, man. Peace.